Folks, welcome to Citizen Watch.
It's raining. I threw Casey a curveball.
Folks, welcome to Citizen Watch on Saturday morning. You know what that music means?
Cartoon time. It's too early for me.
For some people, it means cartoon time. For most of you, it's time to sit with us for an hour of talk here on Saturday morning on KYOS.
Welcome, everybody.
AM 1480. Let me just turn that music down just a little bit more. We're going to let it play out for those about to talk.
You love AC/DC, don't you?
You know, I do. They're one of the old bands.
People told me that today. They go, hey, Robert, this week, how come you don't like AC/DC? I'm like, I'm not a hard rocker. That's a Casey kind of thing. Casey probably listens to bluegrass and
it's one
Charlie
of those,
Daniels.
It's one of those deals that just has a really good riff, and people recognize it. And I've read somewhere, maybe we talked about it, there was 5 of the most famous riffs, musical riffs.
It's got to be Stairway to Heaven's got to be one.
One was, and AC/DC Back in Black was one. Not
really?
Not for those about to rock, which is our theme song. But anyway, here we are, Citizen Watch, this fine Saturday morning. It's the first weekend in September. We had Labor Day last weekend, and it was the end of summer. I heard that on the news. It was the end of anyway.
I understand that, but if you look on your calendar,
yeah,
September 21st is the first day of fall. Which
right.
means September 20th is the last day of summer.
Okay.
No, but I agree with you.
It's still hot.
It's still hot. You know, the Italo's going to... I tell these guys, nobody wants to eat hot food when it's 94 flipping degrees.
I think we did a commercial for the con olive risotto Milanese.
What it is it's chicken cacciatore.
Chicken cacciatore.
What you get is you either get chicken cacciatore with polenta from the ICF or the chicken cacciatore with the rice from the Italo.
Right. Hey, the voice you're hearing, that's Robert, the Velvet Sledgehammer Tomasetti. Of course, I'm Casey Steed, and we're broadcasting from Studio C, the palatial Studio C. You know, Robert has 3 geese in the front yard.
No, let's not talk about the geese. You were going to talk about hacking.
And 3 chickens.
I don't have any chickens yet.
In the house.
Oh, man. My brother's moved in. Momo the Roach is now a member of Merced Society.
You know, in the old days, those downtown homes were boarding houses.
They are now. You should see me. Okay, it's a 2.5 bedroom. One brother gets one bedroom, one brother gets the other, and I sleep in the closet. I have no idea how that works.
Pete, Robert, and Momo, all living under one roof. 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, one of my favorite movies.
Sobbing women.
And I can't help but think
Stop making fun of me.
I'm not making fun.
You wanted to talk about...
Yeah, folks.
The photo hacking, like, what's her name? Jennifer? J-Law. They got all these stupid...
I don't even know these girls. They're people probably heard about the cloud getting hacked, Apple's cloud, evidently. This is the wave of the future, folks. I heard Wozniak talking about this years ago. He goes, we're getting away from hard drives in our devices, and we're having to put all of our information in these clouds or other people's servers.
Right.
And, of course...
Come on, people. It's not in a cloud.
Yeah, right.
It's on a server somewhere.
On a server somewhere, and evidently they were hacked into, and evidently there were some photos that some of these celebrities had.
Why do you... Look.
And why do they have new photos?
Exactly.
I don't get it.
I'm Kevin Costner. I'm not showing my anybody. That way you can't come back and go, Kevin, $1 million that we're going to show it.
Well, it's one of those deals where...
you know what it started with?
What?
Started with, this is true, started with Kardashian.
Yeah.
That is how she got to be who she is. So other people think, well, you know what we'll do? We'll let it slip.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe a girl that made her bones on those kind of videos. But anyway, the cloud was hacked. There were some photos, and unfortunately here at the KYOS facilities...
Did ours get hacked too?
Our cloud was hacked also. You know, some of our former... We used to have a lot of talk shows on Saturday morning. We had, of course, the supervisor, John Pedroso. We had Josh Pedroso, county council. Mark Pagan. We had...
Delray Shelton.
Delray Shelton. Got all the names kind of familiar, but, they were using our cloud server when they were here. And I hate to tell them, but, our cloud got hacked. So...
I heard that.
If folks out there on the internet see a bearskin rug with John Pedroso on it, I want to let them know, evidently that is a photoshopped photo. So not to...
let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Okay, John on a bearskin rug. Does John fill the whole photo?
I don't know which is bigger, the bearskin rug or John, but I heard that these are out there.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question.
They're being shopped around. Now, there are 457 photos of Mark Pagan. Those are real.
Yes, I heard that. Him showing off his baton.
Those are real. He had a lot of equipment over there at the sheriff's department that he liked to play with.
Handcuffs and a baton.
Well,
hey, got a question.
Yes.
Okay, on the John Pedroso one.
Yes.
I know he's bald. But but every time I go see John,
I always see him with a hat on.
But you see him with a hat on. I know he's bald, but here's the question I have.
Yeah.
He always wears a long sleeve shirt. So tell me, in the photoshops, does he have any body hair?
I don't know.
Should we ask him?
I don't. I hear these photos are out on the net, and we apologize to our listeners, and hopefully those won't cause any.
We apologize because quite honestly, that's poor taste. Can anybody really think of John on a bearskin rug?
Well, again, I think it goes to the bigger issue of why any of these celebrities would put photos of themselves.
Because you know what it is?
Is it vanity?
Here's what it is. Here's what I think it is. And it started when I was thinking about Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
Okay, listen. Mel Gibson years ago was a very quiet guy. All right, he didn't do a lot of interviews. Then all of a sudden, after he did the...
Well, I think he got arrested for Deuce, and that's what kind of...
Well, no, that was after. Oh. Okay, and what happens is these stars, they start out very meek and mild, and then they blow up into these... Like Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin was a good actor, and then he blew up. He's calling his daughter all kinds of names.
Didn't work out.
Okay, it didn't work out. And here's what happens what I don't like about superstars.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my movie's coming out, so I will pimp myself to any talk show host, The View, whatever. Yeah. I will pimp myself. Mm-hmm. Now you got the paparazzi going, oh, Mel Gibson wants a picture because he wants to be everywhere because he's pimping a new movie. Now all of a sudden the movie is done and it's next year around the corner and they go, hey, look, Mel Gibson's got a girlfriend. And then Mel gets all upset because people want to know about his private life. Well, you pimp that. You do it. Kardashians do it. Are you kidding? She's making $1 million of pimping her butt everywhere.
Yeah, well, I think Mel's girlfriend kind of made some recordings that he didn't anticipate. But anyway...
No, that was Donald Sterling.
I guess the management's come down. No more using the KYOS cloud for any photos.
They don't have access to us anymore, unfortunately, so I don't think that'll be a problem.
Yeah,
but I still got that figure in my head, burned in my retinas as I close my eyes of John
on a bearskin rug.
Right.
Well,
what kind of pose was it?
I don't know. Speaking of bear sightings, we saw the former sheriff was in town. Everybody might know there's a men's guest night every month. First Tuesday of every month. First Tuesday of every month at the Italo
you know what?
American
He was incognito though.
And we encourage everybody to come down.
He passed my house in an unmarked car. It was a Sebring convertible, red. He goes, hey, Robert, what are you doing? And I looked at him and I go, hey, that's Mark Pagan. What the hell's he doing in that? Because usually he likes all the lights and the fanfare. He's one that would love the paparazzi.
Well, evidently, he was fresh off of the... They had some big riots up there in Napa. I don't know if folks heard about that. The earthquake a few weeks ago. How many enophiles were stealing wine? Carting out bottles of wine. There was red fluid rolling down the streets of Napa. It turned out to be a nice Chianti. But Mark Pagan, he is the head of emergency services with the state of California, and I know that the folks in Napa it was touch and go there for a moment. Like I say, the riots, the looting.
Are you kidding? Did you don't think he had? Do you think he had a couple of bottles for Pat? Because Pat likes white.
I don't know about that, but it was good to see him in town, and of course all the politicos were there. Vern Warnke, I think, gave away a case of liquor. Geez, it was
what they all did. Johnny Teixeira comes walking in.
John
he says,
Teixeira
"How do I be part of this?" And I said, "Give me $100." He goes, "What do I get for it?" I go, "Smile." And he goes, "No, really." And I go, come on in the liquor cabinet. So I sold him some liquor. He put his card on it. We put it on there because, let's be honest.
Well, there's a raffle. People may not know, but there's a raffle.
Men love the liquor.
You get a free dinner first Tuesday of every night, and then after that, for $5, you get a chance at some great raffle prizes. I try to put 40 prizes on the stage. And so Johnny Teixeira donated a prize along with Vern Warnke, along with Pat Lunny, along with Jack Mobley.
Jack is doing well.
Who else? I think that was all that was there, politically wise. But anyway, it was a good showing. Of course, this is the silly season. The elections.
Hub wasn't there, and neither was John. You know why John wasn't there?
I heard John was going to have a special meal that night. Yeah. Upset you.
The same thing.
Yes.
He angered me because I am just not having any of this. Now, look, folks. My grandparents died at a young age. My mother died at 50. Mm-hmm. All I have is my dad. I'm 53 years old, and I haven't had grandparents in 20 years.
Right.
And so somewhere along the line, these old people, I just gravitate towards them. I do functions, and the old people and I just get along great.
Yeah.
And I see these senior citizens who are being abused because Anna Pagan wants a cut of this and a cut of that. Mm. How about if she looks at some fraud in her office, and I guarantee you she'll find the money for what she needs.
There's a lot of waste over there.
There's a lot of waste. We're going to talk about one here in the next segment. But anyway, so John and I were going round and round and round.
About Meals on Wheels. And the county
John Pedroso's father was ill.
And the county, for folks to catch them up, they're going from hot meals once a day to 5 frozen dinners at the start of the week. See you next week.
And a lot of people have been writing letters to the editor, have been very eloquent.
That's right.
And one of them said something about that there is a supervisor that has a 92-year-old mother that no, she don't think or he don't think that the Meals on Wheels, the new program, would be good for them, but it's okay for everybody else. So they voted for it. John Pedrosa's father, which was a wonderful man, was ill for a very long time, and John made sure that everybody in the family came and said hello to Grandpa and stayed with him so that he had company.
Right.
And I railed to John and I said, I can't believe you, out of all people, would allow this Meals on Wheels. Well, it's in other places, doesn't make it right.
Yeah, just because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean we have to.
Right. So I said we could have cut the budget somewhere else, but no, they went for the Meals on Wheels.
$80,000.
So I got mad at John. So he and his family, he calls me because we're friends, and the Levies, and we went out to the hangar, and John was busting my butt because my mom died 20 years ago. My dad remarried, and he keeps calling her my mother, and she's not. It's Franny, my dad's wife. So he's teasing me.
Right.
So I was having none of it. I was kind of grumpy, and I said, look, when you come to the Italo on Tuesday, I am going to feed you one of your Meal on Wheel meals. Everybody's going to get pasta and roast beef, but you.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I want one of the hungry man dinners, and what I'd like is if you can get me to Salisbury. I mean, he's putting in an order like I'm frickin' Denny's, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I'm not having none of this. You're going to get the same crap that these people get.
Right.
Mystery meat, a dollop of mashed potatoes, a cookie that doesn't burn right, or a brownie doesn't burn, and succotash.
Succotash.
So Wednesday, the week before, I see John. I said, hey, so you coming to the Italo? No.
Yeah.
Why not, John? Yeah, I'm not going to let you embarrass. Well, wait a minute. You were okay with this at first. Now all of a sudden it's embarrassing if you get a Meals on Wheels dinner?
Yeah, well.
You voted for this. You supported this. You eat this. I am not done yet. Miss Pagan, Mr. Coco, Mr. Hub Walsh, I like them as people. But come on, guys. Your head was not where it should be on this issue.
Yeah, well,
you're all going to get 5. I'm going to find out what the Meal on Wheels are. I'm going to purchase them, and I'm going to give each of you 5. And you want to do an ALS challenge? Here's a challenge for the Meals on Wheels. Eat the son of a guns for 5 days straight, and tell me how good in quality you are.
Instead of an ice bucket challenge, how's about a frozen dinner challenge?
Ice, frozen, it's the same.
I don't think our supervisors tried these meals prior to.
No, but Case, here's the problem. It's not to try.
No,
you have a good point to try, but here's my question. Who signed off? Everybody I talked to. Do you know how much sodium's in those things? Do you know how much salt? What do seniors have problems with? Water retention.
Well, it makes
and somebody signed off on it.
Yeah, well, and and like you say, it's really not about the meals either. It's about visiting these folks, having a little interaction.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If somebody dies because of this,
well,
now hold on.
I know what you're going to say.
Okay, now on a Pagan, you're cutting corners. Okay, now you've got seniors. I talked to sociologists. I know. I have it. When you go into a depressionary funk, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper when you don't have people around you to pull you out of it.
Right.
A lot of these seniors look forward to those bright-eyed kids that come and people that come and give them their food. Not only that, but these people can't cook their food themselves. That's why it's cooked for them. I want to see somebody throw in a meal, forget about it, forget to take the paper off, and there's a fire, and the family comes in and says, County, guess what?
Right.
We're suing you.
Well,
because anybody can sue anybody $40 on a piece of paper.
And Robert brings up a good point. These are some of the most vulnerable folks out there. We're only talking about 251 individuals in the entire county of Merced, a project that's going to take $1 million to administer per year. It's just amazing to me.
Who's on that board? Who's getting paid there? Mike Conway?
I don't know who. It just boggles the mind. I know when government gets involved, the efficiency drops dramatically, but this was called Project Cherish years ago. It's worked for 40-some years, and suddenly we have these bumps in the road with the Meals on Wheels program. So I hope the people keep writing letters to the editor. I hope they keep putting pressure on the supervisors. And it's more than about meals. It's about a welfare check for some of our more vulnerable citizens. And I would encourage the supervisors to
I got to
do what they can. Anna talked about getting volunteers, of course, having to do background checks.
But here's the
blah,
problem,
blah, blah.
Case.
You already got that.
But here's the problem. She always puts the cart before the horse. Okay, she gets this food truck. She gets her funding. Nobody checks.
Yeah.
She gets this Meals on Wheels put in because it saves money. Nobody's going to check. But you know what? I am, because I've got the name of the director. It's Alex Pierce, and the other one is Jaswant Chima, and he's in wardrobe, and the other young lady's over on Highway 59. And I am going to call them, because this is dear to my heart. I hate to see seniors going without. They have paid the price, people.
Yeah.
They've paid the price. We can find kids 6 meals a day plus a food bank service, but we can't find $2 for 100 meals for the seniors.
You're right. Well, folks, we're at the end of our first segment of Citizen Watch here on this first Saturday in September 6th. Stay with us through the break, folks. We'll be back with segment 2 on KYOS AM 1480. Voice of the Valley. Stand by. Because there's nobody on there.
Go ahead, Case.
Folks,
bring us back, buddy.
Folks, welcome back to Citizen Watch on this fine Saturday morning.
What if they never came back? What if they're just tuning in now because they're sleepy watching cartoons?
Well, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Citizen Watch on KYOS AM 1480. This is our second segment. You've missed the first segment.
Get it on YouTube.
You can. You can listen to it by putting KYOS space 1480 AM in the search bar. And we would encourage everybody to listen to any of our old shows and tell your friends. Can't get enough listeners out there. But here we are back in Studio C on our second segment. I'm Casey Steed. This is Robert the Velvet Sledgehammer Tomasetti, the Goose Whisperer, as I call him, on the other side of the console from me. And we were talking a little bit about HSA. You know, they have one of the biggest budgets in the county.
Don't even go there.
And Robert was over at a place.
I am just ballistic over this.
What was Gateway Gardens? It sounded.
Here's the deal.
Gateway Gardens, isn't that where?
No, you got the wrong thing.
Oh.
Here's the deal. What I get mad at is I had a discussion about a year ago with Miss Pagan, who is probably a very charming person. We've met her out several times. She's been wonderful to us. She's been very polite,
very cordial,
not condescending. She does not talk about what we talk about. It's her private life, which I like. I mean, she's there with her friends, and she's, hello, Mr. Tomasetti, and hello, Miss Pagan. But you know what? I don't like how government goes by unchecked.
Well, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. John Pedroza, you fibbed.
About
John
what?
He told me, now, my brother plays baseball at Joe Hurt Park. So I'm coming off of Parsons this week.
Yeah, they have a huge softball field out there.
Yeah, so I'm coming off of Parsons this week, and I can't get on the right straight. The road is all messed up. I go over the Bradley overpass, and I hear, bang, under my car. I'm thinking my undercarriage is coming apart, and it's what, access panels, right?
They're still working
John
on it.
promised me that son of a gun would be open by the end of August.
No,
This is September 3rd, and we're still not there.
They're working on it. It's like HSR.
Okay, but anyways, here's my point.
John's been a little off on when that's going to start, too.
Okay, here's the deal with me.
What?
Anna Pagan thinks that it's her mission in life to make sure that everybody who deserves HSA help gets HSA help.
You're right.
Which I have no problem with that. But what happens is her people, entrenched people, I've had several people come up to me and go, you know, I've heard about your rants against HSA, and let me tell you what they did to me. They coached me on what to say and what to put down on my form so that I would qualify for services. I went in there and to tell them that I didn't need services anymore because my husband went back to work, and they told me, oh, we never get that. Just keep the money, and when it ends, you don't qualify, you don't qualify.
Yeah.
So Anna Pagan, when I talked to her, she says, well, she wants to make sure everybody gets their help that needed. I get that. I'm standing in line with my brother who moved back with me. And there's ladies in line with 2 iPhones, kids screaming. You can't even hear the loudspeaker tell you, Mr. Tomasetti, room 126.
Yeah, they
can't
have those little phone
hear
booth rooms.
anything. It's a mess. You go over there, and it's people with 6 kids. There's a lady with 2 new kids who went in line and said, hi, I'm getting EBT for my family, but I need to get it raised because I have had 2 new kids. And I'm thinking, if you can't afford the ones you have, why are you having more?
Well,
but you can't say that
no.
because that's not politically correct.
No, it sure isn't. But it sure costs us a lot of money.
But here's the problem. They have access to health care for prophylactics, for birth control. It's called Planned Parenthood. They don't use it, but if you criticize it, you're a bad guy. Anyways,
you can't legislate that.
Right. So I'm over there, and so Vince is in the meeting, and I said, I'll be right back. And he goes, where are you going? I go, I'll be right back. So 3 things hit me. So I walk in Anna Pagan's. It's not her office. It's the foyer, and there is nothing but literature. Is
this out by the airport?
By the airport.
Wardrobe.
There's nothing but information about children, abuse. Oh, my God, it goes on and on. It's like our own public library. And I look at it, and I'm thinking to myself, Our society is still screwed up. And these people have every access to help. And they don't get it. So, whoa. So I pull my brother's form, and I'm reading it. And guess what it says on the bottom? It says, if you are homeless, work with your caretaker, and they'll help you find a way to get a mailbox so that you qualify for benefits.
Right. You have to have somewhere to send that check.
So I'm thinking to myself, so all the homeless people qualify for this. I mean, here's John Bramble thinking it's quaint to have, a little campfire in the park, with the homeless people. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, these people qualify for all these services my brother does. And they will help them find a address so that why are these people still on the street? Why are they pushing shopping carts with 12 dogs, taking all the recyclables on Tuesday afternoon off of 21st Street? That was problem number one.
Okay, go ahead.
Problem number two. I see Make Someone Happy on the wall. Yeah. Have you seen their schedule? Now, Make Someone Happy was Don and Nancy Bergman got a gig through Anna Pagan, through the county, on this food truck that they were looking at food deserts.
Last November, Robert and I attended the kickoff.
Okay, when we heard what they were going to do, the RFP was approved for 7 deliveries at 7 spots.
One spot a day.
Yeah. Well, it's morphed. You know that?
1 day a week.
There is only maybe 2 of these spots that are still the same. There are now 16. Wow. So Anna Pagan and her friends are hell-bent on making this work.
Right.
Because their evaluation is coming up. Okay.
Well, yeah, it was a 1-year contract, and I think it comes up for renewal in November.
I heard the truck is not the same truck.
Really? Well, it wasn't in compliance. So.
I heard they have, and not just Don and Nancy, they have a board of directors. Wow. They have employees. They have a warehouse. Okay. And they have changed their locations that they sold us on. We've got food deserts. It's out in the middle of no man's land, and people go, "Oh, those poor people." Guess where the new schedule is going? It's
I know
Winton.
one of the first ones was Rancho San Miguel parking lot.
Rancho San Miguel parking lot is not even on the list anymore.
Well, that's good.
Guess where it's at?
That was foolish. Where?
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Winton, Santa Fe, and Winton Way. Okay, so there's a Dollar General 30 feet one way, and there's another supermarket 30 feet the other. Vacant lot on Ashby and Beechwood in the middle of no man's land.
Okay, Ashwood.
Broadway Street in Planada.
Okay.
Okay, then they're going to go to the Cesar Chavez Middle School in Planada.
Right.
Okay, then on Tuesday they're going to go to Bellevue School in Atwater. Then they're going to go to the HSA office back in Merced, Castle Medical Center back in Atwater. Then they're going to go... So... they're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, then they go to LeGrand, South Merced, Dos Palos, Merced, South Merced, Atwater again. Now, Atwater is in Mitchell, which is in the middle of in Atwater, which a Save Mart is less than a mile away.
Right, and I think you and I are remembering this subject now that we're talking about it. You brought up a good point at the time that the schools were better served to probably provide nutritious meals for kids and that sort of thing. And here the stops are at the schools. So why aren't we using the school facilities, the school freezer, the school walk-in, if you will, instead of dragging this truck and letting it idle there in the parking lot?
Here are the schools: Cesar Chavez School,
right?
Bellevue Elementary.
Right.
Bellevue Elementary. You've got My Pueblo less than a pitching wedge away on one side, and you've got Save Mart all the way on the other side of Bellevue.
But it gets to what you were saying about doubling up.
Farmdale, Marks Elementary School, Mitchell K through 6, and believe it or not, the Hampshire.
The Hampshire?
Yeah, the Hampshire.
What are they doing over there?
What the hell do I know? So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to warn you ahead of time, Anna Pagan. I am going to be like a dog on this thing because I want to see your evaluation. I am going to call you on the carpet on that original RFP. I want this done. I love Don and Nancy Bergman. Don't get me wrong; they're the nicest people. But this is duplicitous. This is costing the county $170,000 that you could have rolled into your Meals on Wheels.
Yeah.
Okay,
First thing that comes to my mind.
Okay, get this. Not only if you don't have produce, did you know that Merced Food Bank has emergency feeding sites?
I would imagine they do. I know the Salvation Army, the food bank, or the rescue
mission,
hungry? And D Street Shelter.
If you're hungry, you will be fine because the food bank will provide you food free of charge once a month, and at their sites. They have 8 locations under the USDA program.
Wow. Okay,
and the locations are listed. But what this led me to is my brother and I are coming back, and we're taking a shortcut through Merced, and I get off of V Street, I get off of West and Wardrobe, and I'm coming through, and it's about U and 5th, and there's this beautiful, beautiful apartment complex called Gateway Terrace. I
think that is some HUD or low-income housing that we've paid
HUD
for.
Housing.
Yeah.
These apartment complexes. I think there's only one apartment complex in Merced that looks better, and that's Granville, owned by Maxwell Homes. I'm kidding you. These are beautiful. It's just like the ones that they look just like the ones on Highway 59, the brand new ones they built.
Right.
So I go in there and I go talk to the lady. Her name is Yesenia, and she was absolutely charming. She was wonderful. She said, Mr. Tomasetti, this is how this works. Here, let me show you around. She was all proud of it. She didn't know that I was there to criticize it. She was there supporting it, which is fine. She shows me a community room with 3 computers and a conference table. I'm like, what is this? She says, we do programs in here. She says, every day, every other day, we have a guest speaker, we get a performance, we get kids classes, we get electronic, we go online and we look at beginning English and the bullying stops here, kids classes, food that heal, all this stuff for the course of the month. And I go, who pays for this? She said, HUD. I said, can I ask you a question? She said, what? I go, if I had to rent these apartments on my own, they're like $850 to $1,000. These are beautiful. She goes, I know. Isn't that wonderful? And I go, no, it's terrible. And she looks at me and I said, I don't mean to be rude. Can I ask you something? She said, what?
You've met Robert Tomasetti.
I said, don't you think that being poor should have a little bit of a stigma so people want to rise above? If I lived in these apartments and I got EBT money out the wazoo, because be honest, I can get food anywhere I want.
You're right.
Okay, I can go to the Food Max, I can go to the food bank, I can go to the shelter, whatever,
That's
Catholic
right.
charities and get all kinds of food.
You're right.
I get free health care through the county because I just show up at Dignity Health and go, I'm here.
You're exactly right.
And I get a beautiful apartment to live in.
You're exactly right.
And I'm like, it's all on somebody else's dime. And why would I want to leave?
You know, Robert, you bring up a good point that I heard on the national scene earlier this week.
Really?
About how people are not going into entry-level jobs, minimum wage jobs. We've heard the banter about minimum wage needing to be higher, $10, $12, $15
LA wants
an
$13
hour.
an hour.
I've heard up to 15, but it's still not enough money to take you out of the public dole, because you can get more money staying on the public dole. You saw those apartments.
You
They're
and I know.
beautiful.
And I know that a woman with 2 children,
Right.
single unwed mother with 2 children, divorced, whatever you want to say,
Right.
you make $36,000 in perks and benefits and money equivalent.
And
$36,000. You can't get a $10 an hour job to equivalent to that.
And that's just what you can quantify.
You know what
if your son or those children have serious health issues, it'll be all taken care of on the government dime. So it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Why move,
in
Case?
health. Exactly. And this is the problem that America is finding itself in, is
Socialism.
we've made this safety net a hammock, and people don't want to get out of a hammock. Why would you? It's comfortable.
But where does it come from, though, Case?
Well, it comes from good intentions that have gone astray.
Okay, now-
I watched the HUD guy stand up in front of the city council and talk about these apartments. It was going to cost about $500,000 a copy to build. Steve Tonetti got up and said, hey, wait a minute. I've got houses that I could sell you over here in Bellevue.
For
now
$100,000.
Then the HUD guy says, well, no. They have to be built special, requirements, rah. And Steve goes, I'm sure I could build that in and still save you some money. Why are you worrying about it? It's federal money. And you know what I always say?
2 paychecks.
All the tax
One dime.
money comes from the same wallet. I don't care who you are. So what Robert is talking about, his eyes were opened over there at Gateway. And folks, if you haven't been over there,
It's
you ought to
beautiful.
see.
They have a park.
They have
The only thing they don't have is a pool.
Well, yeah, and the folks over there, they were hoping to get McNamara Park, which that had some problems, and we're going to delve into that next segment. But
my problem, Case, is
what you saw.
Are
Now,
we gonna
Robert,
change it?
Robert's brother needs help. Okay.
Yeah.
And there are people out there that need this assistance, and I'm not
And he's
saying
living with me.
And I'm not exactly. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have these programs, but I think they're being abused.
my point and your point was over coffee the other day is Anna Pagan comes up with all this kooky stuff that she reads in government magazine. Mm-hmm. Maybe she should read a detective novel and figure out that there's some fraud going on and get her people to do that. Now, here's my point with Anna Pagan. She's hiring ex-probation officers.
Right.
Okay. So why can't she hire maybe a detective or two?
She knows
An
where
investigator.
Anna knows well where the fraud is. I've talked to the district attorney. I've sat over there on the second floor of the district attorney's office. I've seen the stack of folders literally on the ground, 2 to 3 feet high, little manila folders, every one of them a case of welfare fraud. And the investigator says, I've got 2 people. I used to have 6. There's the cases. After 90 to 120 days, they just purge them because they figure it's too hard to go back that long. People's memories get, even though you can go back a year. The fraud in this county is out of control, Robert.
It is.
And nobody's doing
Same thing
anything
with,
about it.
What do we talk about garbage? Yesterday was my trash day.
Yes.
And guess what? They were camped out on the corner of Martin Luther King 21st. I have a family that lives across the street. It used to be the old, they used to be the music teachers at Merced High School. Guthrie, the old Guthrie home. 6-bedroom, beautiful home. 3 families live in it. A dad who's disabled, who we probably read about, who was hit on the highway. It's his daughter and son, and their daughter and son, son-in-law. And what has happened is it's a family like we are, and we get along great.
Right.
But they've got all this family trash, and here are 3 carts of people going through the trash.
Waiting, yeah, it's terrible, folks. We're getting to the end of our second segment. We're trying to get these right at 15, so I'm kind of having to cut it close a little bit. But we appreciate you sticking with us through the hour here into our third and final segment. Of course, got Tea Party Straight Talk coming up at the top of the hour on Saturday morning. If you miss any of our shows, you can go back on YouTube. We appreciate all of our listeners out there.
I'll call Casey and I, take us to dinner, and we'll redo it for you in person.
Yeah, we'll give you your own personal show. Stick with us, folks. We'll be right back on Citizen Watch, AM 1480, KYOS, the voice of the valley, the power of local radio. Stand by.
Guess who I watched?
Who did you watch?
W.C. Fields and the Bank Dick and Men on a Flying Trapeze. The Bank Dick is hilarious. He's a bank detective in it. I mean, I have not seen Marx Brothers. I watch all the time, but I have not seen W.C. Fields in years, and it was a treat.
Chickadee.
No, yeah, there you go.
I love W.C. Fields, and my other favorite is Jackie Gleason. How sweet it is.
I have his book if you want to read it. It's called The Greatest.
I love Jackie Gleason. That was an era that's bygone. Folks, welcome back to the third and final segment of Citizen Watch.
They think they're listening to AMC, American Movie Classics.
Well,
I'm Robert Osborne.
If folks don't know, you're listening to Citizen Watch on KYOS AM 1480.
I'm Ben Mankiewicz.
No, that's Robert the Velvet Sledgehammer Tomasetti.
I'm just goofing off today. I feel good.
Yeah, we do like to have a lot of fun here in Studio C. With Palatial Studio C. I'm Casey Steed.
My friend Casey has been stressed lately because tomorrow.
Well, it's my son's birthday.
Happy birthday!
Is this weekend?
What's his first name?
His name is Ryan. He's 15 years old. So I'm anticipating in 6 months getting that car or something with wheels and insurance.
Do me a favor.
I hope he does.
Do me a favor.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear our show theme. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, we used to play that for Sheriff Pagan. I always like to play Hawaii 5-0 for Sheriff Pagan.
No, what we should have played for Sheriff Pagan was dun 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 dun.
Barney Fife. Well, I think he's heard that enough. But no, it's my son's birthday. What we
have here
is a failure.
No, that was different.
I know that was.
What movie was it from?
Cool Hand Luke.
Yes.
That was a great.
Strother Martin.
Yeah, it was.
What we have here is failure to communicate.
Some man. Anyway, my son's birthday, 15 years old. Ryan, happy birthday. And
happy birthday to anybody who's having a birthday this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to have some.
My friend Ralph Williams' birthday was yesterday.
So I am a little stressed. Yeah, I've been helping out, doing some
work. He's working, folks.
I'm doing some work, which I'll tell you that back really reminds. We had another murder here in Merced.
Uh-oh.
Gentleman was shot over there on the college streets.
Whoa. How do you go from your back to another murder?
Well, this is
where's that stretch?
That's what they call a segue. We're trying to get in our last.
I thought a segue was the thing that the post office was using.
Excuse me, or it's excuse me, folks, or it's one of those things that we do on this show so eloquently, but we only have one show a week anymore. Rob, and I'll tell you.
Let's go to Ray Appleton and see if we could be on his show one time.
Well,
I'd love to.
We think it'd be in a different market. They wouldn't know anything about Merced, but
we could find out about Fresno.
We do have a lot of content that we try to squeeze in. I got lots of good comments.
You were very wonderful and let me do my about Ana Pagan and John Pedroso. And you know what? You still burned my retinas with that picture of John that you showed me.
On the bearskin rug.
Oh, my God. Well, he looked like Burt Reynolds, but older and fat.
Well, Burt
Reynolds. Remember when Burt did that?
Yeah. You talk about watching old movies. I saw an old movie of Burt Reynolds, and oh, my gosh, it was an old Western. Just terrible. But I think Burt's still with us, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know who left us? Joan Rivers.
Did she die?
Gone.
Terrible.
Yeah. The comedian, the acerbic comedian. She was 81 years old.
Really? And you know what? I thought her daughter was pretty cute.
Well,
in a weird kind of way.
Melissa Rivers, they were very, very close. I'm sure, she's going through a very, very tough time, as anybody does when they lose a family member. She evidently had an endoscopy, a throat surgery. I'm sure it was something that was necessary, and lack of oxygen. Something happened. Her heart stopped breathing, maybe both. And
well, like a friend of mine says,
unfortunately, she passed away, and she's no longer with us.
A friend of mine always says, when somebody dies, it's because their heart stopped and they weren't used to it.
Well, folks, we all die of shock. I can tell you that.
Or pneumonia.
Well, it's a form of shock.
Is it really?
Yeah. Well, you've basically
circulatory
shock,
this
respiratory shock.
This isn't KCMD show.
No, nobody cares. Yeah, Dr. Welby here. Anyway, we had a murder. Another murder here in town. Just to let you know, we're 20 so far in 2014.
Is that a lot?
Well, we had 29 last year in 2013.
We got 9 more to go.
Yeah.
Let's count on Winton for about 5.
Well,
and Planata for 3.
See, this is the thing. It was a record high last year in 2013.
Hey,
and we have 4 months left.
I have a question.
It's averaging about.
Can you answer a question?
About 10 every quarter. What? Or every third of the year. What?
How come I never hear any problems from Jerry O'Bannon's district?
You know, out there in Los Banos, I don't know what they're doing right. Dos Palace, they do have a few murders, but
coward.
Yeah.
Draw.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where very, very disappointing.
So tell me about the murder.
The number of murders. Well, it was a young man named Matt Galvan. He was 25 years old. He was over there attending a party on Cornell Court.
Another party.
These are the college courts over there by the college. They have Harvard, all the universities over there by Merced College. Fairly nice area. And evidently there was a party late at night, and this young man was shot by some gang members. There's a couple of suspects in custody. And again, these gangs, you know, we talk about gangs and the threat to us here at home. And I was talking to Robert over breakfast this morning about ISIL or ISIS, whichever one you want it. They were on the news as we were having breakfast. And I'll tell you, that's a gang we really need to worry about. And I think some of the threats from outside of our country right now are very, very great. And I tell you, folks, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that something is going to happen in our country.
And this is my question to you, because you brought this up, and I'm jumping the gun here a little bit, and I apologize.
No.
But Casey was talking about we're concerned that something's going to happen. But why do we have to be always politically correct?
Well, okay? I don't know where you're headed.
Why do we always have to watch it? Well, here's the thing. I hate our government telling us that ISIS is really...
One of the reasons we have to be politically correct is so we stay on these airwaves. But what are you talking about?
No, not us. I mean America.
America. Yes.
Okay, people are being beheaded,
yes.
and the State Department's saying nothing.
Well,
okay, there's nothing going on. Well, you know, we got to see what the issue is.
Yeah.
It's like go in there, clean house, get them done, move on. I'm going to be honest with you, people. The Israelis, they don't take any prisoners.
They know how to take care of business.
They take care of business, and what they do is there's a difference of opinion. We do not trade with terrorism.
Right.
And Israel looks at it that when you take one of us, that's us that you're taking. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is an Israeli. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to get our pound of flesh. Mm-hmm. America doesn't do that. We lollygaggle and piddle poop. And what's going to happen is exactly what you said today at lunch, is that there's a possible situation where people will come here and try to do some harm of an American citizen.
Right.
And yet we got to be politically correct, and we got to toe dance, and we got to tap dance. I'm tired of that.
I'm very, very disappointed in our response so far to this.
2 guys got beheaded.
System. Well, you know, that's provocative, and that in itself shouldn't elicit a response. It's everything else that's going on over there. What's happened in Syria. This has been festering for over a year. This problem, the total conciliation of the Iraqi army and military in the face of adversity is going to be thrust back on America again to deal with this.
What America needs to do is go home. We're issuing no passports to Iraq. We're not issuing any passports to Iran. If you go there on your own vote. You know, here's the problem I have.
Britain has a real problem.
Britain has a real problem because they're way liberal and open-minded, and that's where America's headed. Is, well, you know, I'm a journalist, and okay, Obama, Osama bin Laden, can I have a story with you? Off with his head. Oh, my God, what happened? Yeah. You don't think you're going in? Look, I want to go to Egypt. Mm-hmm. I kind of look like an Egyptian. I'm dark. But it ain't going to happen. I'm not going to go over there and get thrust in some situation. You know me. I'll get in trouble somehow.
Well,
all I want to look at is 3 little pointy things in the sky. That's it.
I really, you know, and I know this is kind of a hard connection for people to make, these gang-related shootings that we have here.
It's not a case.
In our own community. But we look at some of the influences that we have outside of our borders, and we really need to pick a side. And I think if you haven't picked a team yet, you're going to be forced to real quick, or one's going to be picked for you. And if you don't stand for something, somebody's going to stand on top of you, and they're going to tell you how to live. So I think
I agree. Say that again. No, expound on that. That was very, very good, because here's my argument. I'm reading a book about Koch Industries, and he says that America is going to be socialistic because Americans don't listen. Americans don't pay attention. Americans don't take action. What did you say? If you don't pick a side, somebody's going to pick it for you.
They are, folks, and these people are being persecuted over there, not because of the color of their skin, or not because they wear red or they wear blue. It's because of their beliefs. And I understand in America we are a melting pot. We're not a salad bowl. And so many people want to make it a salad bowl, but we are a melting pot, and we all need to come together. And whether it's our own community of Merced, where we face record murders, or whether it's the world community, where we face these gangs that like us for no other reason than who we are. And so we really need to come together, I feel, as a community and as a country, and confront this. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I did want to talk a little. Go ahead, Robert.
Let me ask you one
final word.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Do you like Charles Bronson?
Yes.
Did you like him in those old movies? Because I'm going to tell you something.
You're talking about the
yes.
Death Wish series?
Because I'm going to tell you, I've told my friends this on constantly. I was in the bank yesterday, and there's a really good-looking young lady standing next to me on her cell phone trying to do her banking.
Okay.
And it always comes to mind. You know what I think about people trying to do business on cell phones.
Yes, you don't like that.
So what I decided I'm going to do, and I've said this over and over, is if I become terminally ill, I will be a vigilante. In terms of
cell phone vigilante?
No, you know what? People look at you wrong and go, "What you looking at?" And you know what?
Yeah.
I think what we do is we cower down, like you said. We don't pick a side.
Well,
because we're afraid.
We have more in common, more that unites us than divides us, folks. And when we have these outside influences that...
But it's not only outside. You said it great a couple of minutes ago. It's inside, too. We get these murders. Kids go to a party just to have fun with their friends, and they're getting shot because they're wearing a different color.
Red,
or the guy's picking his nose, and they go, "That's a gang sign." I mean, you know...
I think some of these young folks know Roman numerals better than they know any other kind of math, and it's sad only because it's 14. Direction on,
is that their age
compass.
Or their IQ?
No, it stands for the 14th letter of the alphabet.
Which is N.
Mm-hmm. And it's norteño. And
hey, you said that good.
It's just unbelievable. You know, one thing I want to tell you, we're getting down to the last few minutes here. Jimmy Pacheco, Sergeant Pacheco, want to throw a shout out for him. He's taken over the animal control. As we heard in the county budget, they're taking it away from animal control and giving it to the sheriff's department, the animal control function. It had its own supervisor. Now they're giving it to the sheriff's department. They've tagged Jimmy Pacheco. And let me just say, I think they made a great choice. They said in the paper that he's a compassionate man and he loves animals. And I think Jim has the demeanor that it takes to deal with this. And I think they've made a great choice.
Think of Jim Pacheco in his outfit.
Right.
Okay. Holding the leash of a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
Versus John Pedroso, who is laying on a bearskin rug.
On a bearskin rug.
That is just too funny.
That might be the first...
John's going to hate us in the morning, you know
well, that's all right. He's probably walking right now. You know, one of the things that Jim is also taking over, which I think is a real feather in his hat, is the new dispatch center out there at Castle Air Force Base. He's the news...
okay, whoa.
The dispatch center manager. This is the new...
I understand that, but stop.
What?
Okay, here's my question to the county. Where is your thought process on this?
What?
This guy is either going to be animal control and get rid of all the cats and dogs that are running all over the street.
Right.
Okay, except near the certain kind of restaurant.
Right.
And all of the people over here, he's going to be in charge of the dispatch center too.
Well, he's the manager. Yeah, I don't think that's think that's out of line.
Really? Not out of line? I'll give you one.
Whoa.
This is the parallel of Mike Conway. Writing articles for the Merced Sun-Star. You know, becomes the information officer for Merced and ends up being Parks and Recs, costing the city how many millions?
You know, I don't know how many.
How many millions?
2.6. I don't know. I don't know how many. I don't know how many folks have ever ever planted a lawn. You know, you throw some grass seed out there, and what the birds don't eat, hopefully gets planted and comes up. The folks over there at Parks and Rec had a little job to do at McNamara Park. They were going to put in some AstroTurf, and then they were going to plant some lawn seed. Everybody thought that the AstroTurf was going to be the problem. Turns out that's a problem, but they can't even plant a lawn over there. Folks noticed in the paper, it looks like an undulating, I don't know what, like a peat bog or something. They can't get this right. Everybody's
got the answer.
Everybody's pointing fingers at everybody.
I got the answer.
Here's the rub, folks. 4,000 kids in our city, because Parks and Rec, they do a lot over there, and they provide a lot of good programs. Unfortunately, this year, soccer ain't one of them, because we don't have a field that we paid $2.6 million for that was supposed to be open in April. Now, this is September, a long way from April. April's a 4, September's a 9. That's 5 months with my bad math. Okay? so here's the deal. 4,000 kids are going to have to go to Turlock, spend their money in Turlock up there at all the fast food places.
Turlock.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about it?
No. You know what they should have done? Now listen to this. This is great. You know Lindsey Johnson?
We got 45 seconds.
You know Lindsey Johnson?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, we should have got Lindsey Johnson to do it. I'll bet you she could get the beach done. She could have some bistro stuff. You could have some Coronas. She should be on those Corona commercials.
Lindsey
Johnson is one of my friends.
She works over there at Parks and Recs, and I'll tell you, when they were having those youth council meetings, there was I know those youths were well attended. She brought the pizza.
We want to sit next to her.
$12,000 for pizza, folks.
$12,500.
$12,500. But again, feather in the hat over there.
Can I ask a question? Do you honestly think that Mike Conway or anybody is going to get chastised for this?
I don't know. Everybody's pointing fingers. The contractors are pointing the fingers. The city, I don't know where the city inspection department was.
It's real simple.
Bottom line, there's no park.
Yosemite Avenue, what they did over there.
Yeah, it's just
these people are a joke.
Just terrible, folks. Anyway, we're coming to the end of our show here. We're out of time.
You say goodbye,
folks. I'm gonna say goodbye today, and
happy birthday, Ryan.
And I am. I'm gonna go out and say happy birthday, Ryan. I hope you have a great time, and we'll see everybody back here next week.
Yep.
Bye bye.